Okay, hello world. We are getting ready to get the show started. We just need like 1 minute here. Hope everybody's having a good one and you are ready to dive in on tonight's topic, which, by the way, is all about the time suck that is job searching. Figure it's a good time to remind everybody who's going through it right now that it's perfectly normal. It may not be fun. It's not fun. We know that. But you're not alone, and what you're going through is completely normal, so we thought we'd share some stories, a couple of tips, but at the end of the day, it's just one of those things we've got to power through, and we will, because that's how you get the new job. So, I think we are ready to rock. Let me just do the quick check and see if everything is behaving the way my system says it is. Because sometimes it lies to me. Okay. Okay, that's not good. We don't need that. Why is that happening? There we go. That's better. Alright, that's one. That's two. Come on, Facebook. You could do this, in theory. Maybe not. Fine, be that way. There's always one. Every week, one fights back, and I'm sorry, but more times than not, it's Facebook. Alright.
Well, get it?
Okay, folks, we are rocking and rolling now. See? If I yell at it enough, it finally gives in, because it has to. And I'm looking for the camera for the wrong place because I've moved my studio, so I'm going to do that a lot tonight. I'm sorry. I will try to get used to the new setup. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks so much for coming by. You are at the BA Zone Live, where we are going to talk tonight about the time suck that is known as the job search. My name is Kathleen Siddett. My co-host is Marianne Morrison, and we are going to share our stories and tips, but we hope that you will also come and share your stories and tips with us. Mayor, did you have anything you want to start off with for the nice folks?
As far as the show, or just a prelim? I'm very excited.
General hello.
Hello, everyone, and I'm so very excited because I went and got my moleskin notebooks. This may not mean a lot to most people, but I love them. And they're great for when you're doing a job search. You can keep all your little information in these tiny little ones. Fantastic. It's my one little, everybody has something. I like pens and notebooks and mechanical pencils and everything. But that's just my little tidbit for this evening before we get into the show. Kathleen is just finishing up the finishing touches there. So what are we going to talk about first, Kathleen? Problems, perhaps?
Yes, we're going to go through some of the shared problems so that everybody knows that their experiences are not just unto themselves. They don't have to worry. The world's not out to get them. It's out to get all of us.
That's right. But before we do that, just a reminder that if you find this show interesting, or if there's anyone out there you think this might be helpful to, please share and give us some love and a little attention. And we're doing this for you guys. If you have any ideas for future shows, feel free to drop us a line, and feel free to comment. Just drop us a line, and Kathleen will get you up on the screen there. And you can, as always, follow us everywhere on the bazone.com, which is our website, on Twitter, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, and YouTube. So that's my little ditty for this evening. And I don't know.
We already have our first comment, so let me see if I can get it to come up.
Well, that was fast.
3 guesses.
It Amy?
Of course.
Moleskin notebooks tidbit, cool, right? They're so great.
And Jason says he's a little surprised that the world is not out to get him. Of course not, Jason. Especially you. The world is definitely not out to get you. Me, baby. You, definitely not. Alrighty. So, are we ready? You want to start off with your favorite?
Problems?
Yes, so let's, so we've both been through the job search not too long ago, so this is very fresh in our minds. Why don't you toss off your first favorite part, she says sarcastically.
My favorite part of the job search? Well, other than adapting your resume every 5 minutes, the best part is, a lot of these companies today try to get people on board a lot sooner than the job is even open. So you could be doing this job search 6 months in advance for some of these companies, and that just absolutely drives me crazy. They post a job basically They may not know what the salary is. They may pretty much do, not know anything, but they try to get a lot of resumes together. Um, and I guess recruiters don't know this as well, or whatever. But so you could be getting phone calls 6 months after the fact, and that's not a lie, right, Kathleen? I mean, you have definitely had them calling you months later. That's one of the problems, is that lack of communication, or that pre-setup for these jobs that don't even exist yet. That's one fun thing that wastes your time immeasurably. So
Okay,
well,
yes, and we definitely have people chiming in tonight because this is a hot topic. Oh, sorry. Let me not that I'm not always happy to show Jason's comment, but that wasn't
yeah,
really where I was going. Here, there we go. Right, every 5 minutes. Right, that's how this goes. It's like
yep,
endless. So thank you, Adam,
endless.
for coming by and for commenting. We appreciate that. We're hoping everybody will share their stories tonight because I do believe it's important that we all remind each other that this happens to all of us. This is just part of the so-called fun.
Be fun.
Fun. It's so
Yeah,
much
so
fun.
so there's definitely months in advance that you could be. I mean, you could actually be in a job already, and that job will call you months later. So I
Oh,
think that's a big thing with companies, that they're doing that ahead of time.
well, it's not even
And
that's
it's
the problem is that they're not doing it ahead of time. It's that the more they need the job filled, the less time they give to filling the job. And so there's
yeah,
this like time lag thing, like or somebody will say, "Oh, we need to fill this. It's an emergency." They'll post it, and then it just like nobody does anything. They get all these resumes, they get the emails and all this stuff, and then nobody goes through it. Nobody starts the process. I don't know if they forget sometimes, and then all of a sudden they come back to you, 3 months later, and they're like, "Oh, well, you applied." I'm like, "Yeah, that was like a lifetime ago."
gotta love that. And then of course, the same that goes with that is that lack of communication. And we see that everywhere. We get a lack of communication between
Sure.
recruiters and you, between companies and us. I mean, that's just an ongoing issue of communication. And it wasn't always like that. So, you
Yes, it
know,
was.
and there
It's always
no,
been
it
this
really
way.
wasn't. It
No, it
really
was. The
wasn't.
only thing that was different was the fact that you used to have to type out and mail it in, which gave an excuse for some of the time lag and lack of communication because
Yeah.
of the postal service problem. Now that we're all used to, electronic communication being fast, that's the only thing that's changed. They've always done this. They've always dragged their feet. They've always been, we need you, we need you, we need you, and then crickets.
I don't remember it being like that ages ago. I thought it was more or less, a lot of these you know, the technology that's supposed to be helping people find people is is not always the best way to find people, in my opinion. But years ago, they used to literally take the time to communicate with you, and talk to you and try to find if you were, appropriate for the job. And now they just kind of, it's just sort of like, for sure, Adam. Right?
Adam knows the
There's
pain. We all know it. It's true.
there is, yeah, there's no talking to people as much as there were. They're really depending on keywords and algorithms to find folks, I think. And that's something that we didn't do back in the day as much, but they're using that. I mean, and it'll probably eventually even itself out once these no.
See,
Kathleen,
she's in
I am
full
always a little
optimist
on the
mode
positive
tonight.
side.
Say,
Yeah.
Amy's got it. Yes, it's rant night. Get ready.
Kathleen, yeah. Good night. Yeah, yeah. Good cop, bad cop. Here we go. It's like, yeah.
No, because you know
She's
what? People don't change, and that it comes down to being a people problem. So I
well,
don't have
that's
any
true.
expectation it's going to change. If anything, it's going to get worse because they're going to start to think that AI is the big solution to everything. Forgetting, of
Oh
course, that
yes,
there's
no.
no real any AI is not real because AI is programmed by humans, and humans input their same problems into whatever they're coding. So it's not a
That's
magic
true.
solution. In a lot of ways, it's going to be worse because you're not even going to be able to find out from anybody what went on or where things are because the system has it or the system
Yeah.
decided. So it's just going to end up being a different level of suck. I'm sorry, but that's the word for the evening. That's why I didn't even hold back when I created the card for it. I was like, this is what it is. See, Amy had it right.
She
Here, I'll
did.
just keep bringing this up.
You know, when Kathleen does this, I just
Thanks for
sort
the
of
new
sit
third,
back.
lower third, Amy. That's perfect.
I think I'll just sit back and let this happen this evening and let her go on So why don't we just get right into recruiters then? Because there's going to be a lot about this subject.
We'll see.
Oh,
Okay, so leading into that, now there's a little more text here.
There you
So,
go.
so Adam says, I often think they need a BA in recruiting as there is a lack of understanding for how to communicate and meet the needs. Yes.
There you go.
Thank you. See, Adam gets it.
There you
That's
go.
exactly what it is. And you know what? Let's go out there tonight and create that job for people because it would only help the process. There's just no way it could.
That's right. And one of the main things is maybe not give them a commission until, the end of I don't know how that commission system works, but it's either they're looking to make a sale, or you get two different types of people, I think. Sales people, or like people who really want to take care of you or be more on the service side. So, it just depends on which one you get for a recruiter. And most of them,
it's
are
like
more
spinning
on
the wheel of misery. Let's see what we're going to get this time.
tick, 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 bankrupt. Oh, lordy. Yeah, she's on a tear this evening.
But at least we're entertaining John. John is finding this funny because, right, what do they say about humor? It's funny because it's true.
That's very true.
So thank you, John. Thanks for coming by.
And then there's the ultimate of... Go ahead. Did you want to say something, or was another comment?
No, we're getting comments
and
hot and fast tonight. So Amy is in on the idea of getting a BA for the recruiting team. See, we're going to start a movement tonight. This is it. This is going to be the ground zero of getting this idea out there and changing things for the better. I love it.
Oh my gosh. And then there's always the fun, and this will produce another rant because I'm almost positive, because Kathleen has told me this so many times, spinning the wheel of misery.
Right, there's a new catchphrase for us, Amy, spinning the wheel of misery. I like it. We'll get t-shirts made.
Somebody is already out there printing one up. You know it. You absolutely know it. Oh, and there's always the, let's see if this shoe fits. Oh, that's Cinderella, right? Cinderella with the shoe that fits. So you give them your requirements and you're looking for this type of job, and they send you out for a job that is completely different than the one that you're interviewing for. So we don't know if that's sort of like, do you fit into this one? Do I want a commission, or what that's all about? That's all happened to everybody as well, too. It's like, oh, gee, you said you wanted to be a rocket scientist. Well, maybe we'll make you a neurosurgeon just instead, So that type of wonderful thing, where they want everything under the sun, and we've talked about that before as well, too. So
right, so let's break this into pieces here. So the first one, which is one of my all-time favorites, is that they you're working with a recruiter usually, or sometimes it's even the in-house recruiter. Sometimes it's their own HR department. Sometimes they're hiring. Sometimes they bring in a third-party recruiter and put them under their umbrella for a while. But you have many conversations. They've seen your resume. You've gone back and forth. You've had lots of conversations. You've done the phone screens, and it's all been pretty close to what you've been talking about. And then they bring you in for the in-person interviews, and everybody's talking about a completely different job. I mean, this has happened. This has happened to me several times, and I'm never quite sure where the disconnect was, because the resume hasn't changed from the time I did the phone screens to the time I showed up. So why are these people asking me about jobs that, okay, maybe I have done in some, ancillary way, but was not what the whole job description was about? And you have to kind of make a decision at that point. It's like, okay, do you raise the question of what the hell's going on without saying it that way, or do you go with the flow and kind of see where it goes? And it's sort of a case-by-case call. I mean, and a couple of times, it sort of, to me, signaled an internal problem that was much bigger than I had been led to believe, so I did bring it up. And it caused a lot of confusion amongst the people who were interviewing me, and this was one of those lovely 5 people interviewing at once moments. We'll get into that. But you just, unfortunately, there's nothing we can say, always do this, because it really does depend on the situation, how badly you need the job, how much you're interested in this company. But it's okay to say, if you feel that the right thing to do here is to say, I'm sorry, time out, but I was brought in for this job and we've talked about these things. Has the need changed, or is there just some other miscommunication? And see what happens. Because you don't want to go down that path if it's not the job that you want to do. Any thoughts?
Or did they just suck you into that job to get you in there, to actually just offer you this
not
job?
usually by the time you're going for the in-person. When you're on the phone, you get a lot of chain yanking on the phone screens. whether it's all right, let's be honest, most of the time it's a recruiter. Usually it's a lower level one who's got to make X number of phone calls a day, and they're just looking to meet their quota, and they haven't even actually seen your resume. They got your name. So those are generally time wasters. But usually by the time you're going on site, it's not that, because they don't really want to be wasting their time either. It's usually some major disconnect, and in some cases it's been that the headhunter has completely misrepresented you, even though you've had many conversations with them and drilled down on what it was. It could just be that they just, for whatever reason, decided that they were going to send you in for something that wasn't discussed. So yeah, what a waste of time sending you out for the wrong position. Exactly, Amy. I mean, it happens a fair amount of times. I mean, it's not a every time thing, obviously, but it happens way more than it should. There's been a couple I actually have had 2 times that this has happened to me, and I did say, hey, time out. Okay, this is what I came in for. This is my resume. Can I see the resume that you're looking at? Because maybe that's the problem, which we'll get into in a second too. And in one of the cases, the person who was doing the hiring got really angry, and I didn't know at first if they were angry at me or what. And then after they took a breath, they let me know that it wasn't me. They were angry at the agency that sent me in, because they had been very clear in their requirements, and clearly the agency was just looking to bring people in the door. So it wasn't so much that the company was wasting my time, it was the agency wasting both of our times. And this person went on a major rant and was like, this person's never going to work for us again. And I'm like, just leave my name out of it. I don't want to get in the fight. I don't want to be in the middle of anything. I'm sorry, but
blackballed across the industry.
I'm sure I am someplace. But if it's going to happen, I want it to be because of something I did, not something that some third party did.
Exactly.
So Jason, whoops, sorry, wrong one. Didn't do the. Got to do this in order. It doesn't work. One sec. There we go. This one, that one, and then this one. See, it does work when I do it in order. So Jason's calling it the old bait and switch. Absolutely. And you're never sure where the switch has happened. But like I said, you do need to make your own judgment call to see how you want to go. Maybe it could turn out to be great. Maybe this other new mystery position could be perfect for you. You can't be sure. So that's why I'm not saying that there's one way to deal with it. If you're curious, by all means, keep going with it. Hey, stranger things have happened. Maybe find a new career path or something, or they've created some new version of a BA that might be awesome for you. But if not, well, that's a whole other problem. And see, I knew we were going to talk to our people tonight. John totally gets it.
Jerk. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. So
go
ahead.
It's like those meter maids going out there to make their quota for the month,
Yeah.
Giving a slapping tickets. Same thing. Thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's, that is definitely the kind of thing that will happen. It's never fun when it happens. It is absolutely a waste of your time, especially like if you've taken time off of the job that you're currently at for it. You've spent time picking out clothes and driving someplace you've never been before. I mean, there's an investment in time and money in this. So you have every right to be upset about it. Probably not great to communicate the upsetment. You always want to come across professional, cool, calm, collected as much as you can, unless you're ranting on live stream.
Unless you're on this show. Yeah,
right,
unless you're on this show.
No, here we can rant all you want. Say whatever you want. It's all good here. But when you're in front of a potential employer, because you never know that, down the road, 6 months, a year, 2 years, you might be right back with that company for a real job.
Exactly.
So, try to handle it the best way you can. But when it happens to you, rest assured, it's not just you.
No. I wonder if there's people out there who have actually been contacted by recruiters via Facebook or LinkedIn or something, because a lot of those folks are out there, because you were saying before someone got your name, and a lot of the agencies now are going out and looking for talent that way. So I'm just wondering if anybody wants to share if they've been contacted that way and if that worked out for you or not, because that's another interesting it's sort of like, oh, it's I found your name in a phone book kind of thing, but they can actually see stuff. So just curious to see if anybody out there was contacted in our audience. I know, Kathleen, that we get a lot of folks trolling that way.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. But I mean, it's also the case where I'm sorry, we're having such fun with YouTube and Facebook. I'm trying to get Periscope to come up. Oh, no. See, now everything is going to, no. I'm saying no. Yes. I can't get it to come up. I'm sorry, Periscope. I will try again in a minute. Sometimes it makes all the difference if I just hang out a sec. There we go. Okay. So the other part of this type of a situation, and the reason I usually, if it does happen, I usually do ask to see the resume that they're looking at, is because I have had, and you will sooner or later, have a headhunter completely rewrite your resume on you, which makes me furious. You spend all this time and effort getting your resume crafted to represent you in the best possible light, and then you get some pinhead who goes in, rewrites your resume, maybe puts in things that you've never even claimed to do, enters in, typos and all kinds of things. I mean, so this is why, and so this is just a little tip I give you. It's not 100% secure solution, but it does make it a little harder for these people to do that, as I only send out my resume as a PDF anymore, and I lock it down. Now, I can teach you guys how to do that if you want. It does require buying more than just the reader software. But the good thing is you can create a PDF if you're using Google Docs, Word, what have you. You can save as PDF or print a PDF. And I strongly recommend doing that because while you can edit or you can snarf out the content, it's usually not worth the effort for people. Because it requires a lot of hand editing to go in and get it all to work again. So just something to keep in mind, because that is the case. If you are in an interview, and again, things, maybe it's not completely different, but you're just getting this weird feeling that they're not working from the same information that you are, again, it's okay to say, hey, it doesn't sound like maybe you've got the right copy of my resume. And that's why I always say bring like 5 or 6 copies of your resume and give it to them. Because again, this happens to me quite a lot, that, I'll give them my resume and they'll go, yeah, this is not the resume I saw. And usually they like mine better.
I wonder if that's why all those people I used to interview were not appropriate for the job whatsoever.
Well, this is what happens.
Somebody was rewriting their resumes.
So let's say Adam's saying I get asked to take on CSR roles all the time on LinkedIn, even though I've made it very clear what I'm looking for, which must mean that they're doing a search of yes, exactly. I mean, that's exactly the kind of thing that goes on. They just so I'll say that I have worked with Java developers and .NET developers, and then suddenly I get phone calls for .NET and Java programming jobs. And I'm like, there's nothing on my resume that says that I do that. But clearly they just, look, there's a matching word. Okay, let's send it out and get in touch.
Gotta love those algorithms.
Well, and it's the algorithms, but it's also sometimes the people. Again, it's the quota people usually. The junior people in a headhunting. They're just like, okay, you've got to make so many phone calls filling this. And the fact that the phone calls they're making are useless for everybody. It doesn't matter. Oops, sorry, that went away too fast. So Jason likes my PDF idea. Yeah, that's one that I've become quite serious about. And sometimes I have headhunters fight back, and they're like, no, we must have it in Word format. And I'm like, well, that's great because I don't use Word anymore. I use Google Docs, which you can generate it from. But at that point, when they're being like that, I just kind of get a little pissy. But I say, no, you have to stand up for yourself on these kind of things. Well, you do, because they will try to bully you. They will try to push you. And so you could say no. You say, if you have suggestions, if there's some tweaks that you want me to make for this particular, job, I'm happy to do it. Tell me what it is you want changed. But no, I'm not turning over control of my resume to you. That's just not going to happen. Amy says, recruiters in my industry always ask for Word versions so they can remove our personal info. Perfect example. Thank you, Amy. It's like you read my mind, which must be scary for you. Yes, and that's the kind of thing. It's like, fine, you want me to remove my personal information? I'm fine doing that. I will remove it. I will leave a nice big gap, and that's all fine. But again, you don't have to have my resume to do that. I can do that and get it to you. It totally works out fine.
Sounds like a legal issue, Amy.
Well, it could be, but also, so she as the person doing hiring, I do this too. I like seeing the Word version so I can enable hide show and see if they know how to use Word, which, so for those of you who are not regulars, Amy is a regular, and she works on the legal side of things, but she does legal support and litigation support. I'm sorry, let me get the right term. But there's a lot of overlap between that and us BAs, so we share a lot of information. And I have done that. When people have sent resumes, we've been hiring, I do go ahead and look, especially when we were hiring the tech writer. Remember back a couple of years ago we were hiring the tech writer? And that's what I was doing. I was checking because they were sending Word resumes. I was checking to make sure they knew how to actually use the formatting in it, which, frankly, in a lot of those people's cases, it would have been better for them to send PDF because they didn't know what they were doing. But yeah, and you know what? And that's fine, too, if as the hiring person, you want to say, okay, I'm going to need to see samples of your work in Word format. that's fine. My whole thing is just protecting your resume from the headhunters that want to muck around with it and are not doing you any favors. Yeah, it's totally fine to say, hey, we're going to need to see this at some point in the process. That's totally fine, especially if a big part of what the person's going to be doing is using that kind of a tool. So absolutely. And Alexi is out here saying hi. He just gave us a thumbs up. But hey, I'm all about the thumbs up, the hearts, the follows, all that good stuff. So thank you. Oh, it didn't come through. I guess that font doesn't transfer across to the app. Oh, well, thanks anyway, Alexi. We appreciate that.
Alexi, that's your 2 seconds of fame right there, right on the...
Which means you have 14 minutes and 58
you got
seconds.
some left. Yeah.
Sorry, obscure Andy Warhol comment there.
Yeah.
All right, what's next on your list?
Let me see. What's next on my list? I don't... You know what? I also don't like it when the recruiters are asking, and I've never asked this before, how much you made at your previous job. There's no reason to give them that information either. So as far as that personal information that Amy was talking about, there's no reason to give them that information, no matter how much they freaking push. And that's not anything I ever asked actually in an interview. So if they're asking that, I think most of the time they're just trying to feel you out to see if you'll take a lower, get you down a little bit in salary. So,
or a lot.
That's just sort of a pet peeve with with any type of recruiters. And they used to do it all the time, because I used to work with recruiters all the time to get in, and they always wanted to know. And it was like, yeah, you don't really need to know that. Just, post the job at what I say or what you want type of thing. That's just a pet peeve. I don't know how many people out there actually give that information out. You never give that information out, right, Kathleen? On a previous job?
Yes, Amy.
Being
Amy just said.
Yeah, well, I could just, today it's the Kathleen show, so I'm just trying to throw her a bone, because this is just, I know how she feels about this entire topic.
So anybody who's just listening, Amy posted, Marianne is being tentative in choosing the next topic of Kathleen's rant.
I'm just making sure she gets it all out, all across the board.
This is a topic I feel very strongly about. And when I, coach people through getting a job, I make sure that they know that it's okay to say no and to stand up for yourself. And if it doesn't feel right, you need to follow those gut instincts.
That's right.
And so, okay, so as far as the, asking for your previous salary thing, the good news is that it is starting to become illegal. So there's some states now, and I think New York and California popped to mind, but I would have to go and verify that, to make it illegal to ask that as part of the interview process. Just like they're not supposed to ask you about, your religion, your sexual preferences, and all that kind of stuff, because it's not their business.
Of course, they still do.
They still do, which we can get into next. But as far as this particular one...
Call Amy. She'll hook us up if they do that for you.
Yes, that's right. Amy's got the connections. But, so this is the type of thing that, yes, that it will be showing up on the you can't ask that list sooner than later, which is a wonderful thing. But you don't have to wait for that, because it's really none of their business. And one of the things, if you feel like, oh, well, no, they're asking, I have to tell them, maybe this will help you not tell them. Because this is one of the ways that they start underpaying women mostly.
That's right.
For the same job that men are doing, because traditionally we have been paid less, and so they want to continue that process. Whether it's consciously or subconsciously, I won't get into. The end result is always the same, okay? So every time anybody asks that question, I either go, depending on my mood, I either go with the, well, what range are you looking to offer? Or if I'm, not feeling quite that level pushy yet, which doesn't happen often. The other thing I'll say is, well, I'm looking for something in a certain range. I just ignore the initial question and get to the real question that I have. And most of the time people will back off. Sometimes you'll get people who really push on it. And again, I don't answer. I just say, well, I would really like to know why that's so important as a part of my skill set for this position. And that usually ends that part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Because it's not right. Sorry, Murph. They should not be asking that question. I understand that they have a budget. And frankly, if they think I'm outside of their budget, why did they bring me in? Mm-hmm. If you think I'm outside your budget, tell me what your budget is, and I'll give you an honest answer. Yes, I'm not going to work, and do what I do for a living with my level of experience for less than the kid across the street is getting for babysitting. That's not going to happen.
Right. And you can be nice and you can say,
Oh yeah, of course.
it's just not I just, as a practice, I don't give that information out to anyone type
Right.
of, and, or just ignore it. Sort of redirect the conversation is always helpful. You'll get it
Oh yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, well, and
What's
like
yours?
it's
Got another
it's
one?
one of those things that if that's enough for them to not hire you, then that probably wasn't a good fit. And that's something else that's really important to remember as you're going through this, because sometimes you start to feel a little bit desperate, even though you're not. But just because you're like, oh my God, I put so much time and effort into this between the resume and the phone screens and the questions I've been answering, and now I'm on site and I really want this to go through. But you do need to kind of step back a little bit from this and keep evaluating, keep asking yourself, is this the right fit for me? Because again, the important thing to remember when you're going through this process is just as important for you to be a good match for them as they be a good match for you. Because if one of those is out of alignment, then the whole thing is going to end up imploding anyway at some point. So keep in mind, you have just as much right to be sure about the situation and to feel that it's a good fit as they do.
Right. And as far as fit goes, if you are using a recruiter and that fit doesn't work, you can always change recruiters. You can use multiple recruiters. I mean, there's nothing that says, you can't. It's not like you've written a book and you're submitting a manuscript. It's like you can go out with a bunch. Obviously, you want to spread it a little bit, but now Kathleen's going to say, yeah, maybe
well,
not.
No, there is just one thing to be careful about, and that is you don't want to get submitted for the same job by different recruiters.
Yeah.
If they're still looking for a year later, that's different. But over, the current time period, you want to make sure that, if you've had a certain, recruiter submit you, then even if that recruiter is now pissing you off, you really can't change horses midstream on that one. Other than that, yeah, absolutely. Once upon a time, I don't see it as much anymore. Recruiters used to push for an exclusive, a lot like realtors do when they're going to list your house. I've noticed that that's not happening as much anymore, mainly because, at least in the U.S., the market has shifted enough that we're on the stronger side of things for the moment. Enjoy it while it lasts. It's a good thing. But if somebody does push you for that, feel free to say no. Again, the odds of one recruiter only having the job has gotten so small these days that you don't, as much as they, stomp their feet and hold their breath and swear that they have the exclusive. I mean, this happens to be matter of fact, it just happened before I came on the air. People, will get on, we have the exclusive for this particular client. I'm like, yeah, and the 45 other people that have called me and emailed me about this one today. So, take that with a grain of salt every time, because that is definitely not always the case and is less and less the case. So we've got more good stuff here. You will definitely get submitted to the same job from different recruiters, first come, first paid through. Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully not, because that can be seen as a problem, and sometimes that scares off potential hirers if you get some. Now, maybe it's different in legal, but on our side of things here, if you end up getting submitted multiple times for different recruiters for the same exact job, that can come across as desperate and as a warning sign sometimes to businesses. I'm not sure what the warning sign is for the business about that, but I have seen that be a problem before. So just be a little careful about that. And anytime you are working with a recruiter, they always play this little game first. Oh, I can't reveal the client's name, all that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah, okay, fine. You can ride that horse for a little while. Well, I'm on a horse metaphor tonight. But before you let them submit you, you have to demand that they tell you who the client is. Never let somebody submit you without identifying the client, because maybe it's somebody you don't want to work for, or maybe you've already been submitted there, which is always the excuse I use, because that tends to force their hand a little bit. But yeah, that's a biggie, because it's just not the kind of game you want to be playing if it is a job that you're really interested in. All right. All right, so I'm going to throw in one now. One of the really frustrating things I see that I deal with as I go through this process over and over again are the fake ads. I don't mean just, recruiters, maybe being a little weird or whatever. I mean, there are absolute fraudulent ads out there all of the time. The good thing is, the more you do this, the more you'll start to be able to pick them out. And it's funny, it seems like in each cycle, there's one or two companies in particular that are doing that type of thing. Either they are just doing that because they're looking to collect resumes, and very often that's a newer agency that's looking to fill up their database. Other ones, to be honest, I don't know why they do it. But then maybe they're bored. I don't know. But I will see, and you'll start to pick up on it. It's like, okay, wait a minute. These guys, every time I've called them, either they've gotten wishy-washy or, oh, the job didn't come through, or there's always some excuse. Or sometimes they'll be right up front about it, and they'll be like, well, yeah, we don't actually have this job available right now, but we've got one possibly coming, so we wanted to get ready for it. That's not how this works. They don't have a Ouija board that's telling them what jobs requests are going to come through tomorrow. So that is one that annoys me, because I think particularly for people who are not as experienced at looking for a job, it can be a major time waste. And let's face it, we don't have that much time. I mean, everybody gets the same 24 hours every day. And if you've got these people, cutting into the time you have available for your job search, that's time you don't get back. And I have a big problem with people who try to pull that kind of stuff. Do you run those? Do you run across those, Mare?
Not so much that. I don't think it's fraudulent as much as it's an agency trying to, not to stick with the horse metaphor, but trying to build their stable, of talent, so that these are people that really don't have any client connections. There's recruiters. If you're working with a recruiter, there's recruiters and there's recruiters. Some of them have a lot of connections. They network. Networking is, if they're a really good networker, they've always got their finger on the pulse of what's going on in the companies. And then there's these other recruiters that are either just starting, or they don't have that networking, and they're just trying to say, ooh, look at all the great people I have here with all these skill sets. Does it fill any of the jobs you people need? So it's not as much, I don't see it as much fraudulent as I do, the difference between a really good recruiter and a really sucky recruiter. And there's plenty of, and I'm talking about even the in-house recruiters, which I've been recently dealing with. There's nothing coming out of there for anybody. Those job postings remain open forever. So that's what I see. Not so much fraudulent, but just that.
So one of the tips I give people for this situation is to keep your own list, because you will find over time that when you're keeping this kind of track, you'll be able to come up with a list of recruiters that you absolutely would be willing to work with again, and ones you never ever want to hear from again. And it's just good to keep that list for yourself, because then the next time you have to go through it, let's face it, we're all going to do this several times over our career. You'll know which ones to just avoid from the get-go, because the odds of them having improved is very low. So that way you'll be able to, what I do is I have my list, and when I do start to look, the list of the good ones are the first people I just reach out to cold. I'm like, hey, just want to let you know, I'm going to get started looking for a job again. Here's my updated information. If you hear anything, get in touch. Because that's a way to foster that relationship. And sometimes you don't even then have to fill out the job, you don't have to go to the job boards or anything to look around, because sometimes you get a call going, I was just about to call you. So
that's right.
It's a good idea to keep that in line. And Amy says that she advises people to change recruiters all the time. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Don't feel like just because you've been dealing with one that you're married for the rest of your lives. You're not.
Right. And I've noticed in the past too with recruiters, when we were hiring positions, when we were managers, that some of the recruiters work mainly with contractors, or they fill full-time positions. Some of them do both, but a lot of them specialize in one or the other. So make sure you note that too if you're dealing with a bunch of different recruiters, depending on what type of work you're looking for.
So Adam has got a question. He says he gets fraud emails, which are scams about once every 2 weeks. Is this happening in the USA? Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes. It's not just, I'm sorry, I forget where you are, Adam, but yes, it's not just your area. This happens here all the time. Okay, I'm not going to mention the board that it seems to be happening a lot on lately. Let's just say that they're not building a good reputation with me. I'll just kind of leave that out there. But yeah, there are ones that, as soon as you post your resume there, or you answer a job posting there, then all of a sudden your mailbox gets just filled with all of this garbage stuff. People, pyramid schemes, and every nonsense thing, you can get. The one I haven't seen in for a while is the Nigerian prince scam. But other than that, it seems to just put you on some list that gets you. The thing I don't understand is, there's also companies that I know are real good companies that are still using this service to post their ads, and it's the only place that they do it. So it's not like I can just blow off this one service that right now is triggering a lot of. There used to be two. One's gotten a little bit better about it. The other one is just not seeming to do anything about it. So it's a little frustrating because it's not like I feel like I can skip them. But every time I do it, I kind of give a little sigh because I know what's coming, and I hit that button and I'm like, all right, here we go. Time to go through the emails and start putting the filters on again.
Trash, 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 trash.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Adam says he's in Canada. Whoops, sorry. Again, I have to do this
Canada,
in order.
right?
That
He's in
goes
Canada.
first, and so he's in Canada. So it's evidently crept out of here across. I'm so sorry. It's not the first thing that we've sent across that we shouldn't have. We apologize.
Adam's in Canada. Adam, you're running all over the place, right? Adam likes to do the marathons. You're gearing back up for that, I think. Do a
I don't
lot
remember.
of jogging.
Is he a marathoner? Okay, that's cool.
I think so. I think he's a big runner, right?
And Amy says that she has
That's her
a
too,
short
in
list
her
of
area.
2, yeah, and as for referrals and other states from trusted friends, yep, absolutely, that's a good way to go. And you know, as much I know that's always on the list of when you're looking for your job search, use your referral chain, and it is true, especially for this kind of thing, because if somebody else has gotten burned, you can bet that they'll at least warn you away from the really bad ones. Thank you, Amy.
Right. Right.
All right, I think I'm caught up on all the comments, right? Yes, I am. Okay.
And do we have any business to do, by the way?
And
We're
it's-
just jabbering away.
Okay, so Adam says yes. He says I am, so I'm guessing that means he is a marathoner. That's very cool.
Yeah, he loves to run.
Very cool.
I'm
Yes,
watching.
so this is a.
I'm following.
She's not a stalker, I promise. She's just curious.
No. I love his post. I love his post.
This is the time when we remind you that you can reach out to us in all of the usual and lovely places. So we are on Periscope, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitter. We also have our own website, which is thebazone.com. And so if you ever have a question, a comment, if there's ever a topic that you want us to cover, you can feel free to reach out at any point. Also, if you are looking for a job, we invite you to go to thebazone.com/job help, because we have put 2 courses out there. One is about just what to do before you do your resume, doing your resume all the way through to getting the job. And the other one is about how to get experience before you have experience, because that is a horrible loop that everybody runs into, usually early in their career, or if you're doing a transition, where all the job postings are like, you must have experience, and you're like, well, I would love to have the experience, but I need the job, especially if you're doing something very specific, like for example the litigation support thing for Amy. That's not exactly the kind of thing that you can just walk in off the street usually and get. You have to kind of find your way in. So we invite you to go and check those out. If you have any interest or need for any of that information, we would love to share that with you. Also, since we're plowing through here and we're already over time, make sure that if you're finding this content helpful, that you like, follow, turn on notifications wherever you are. That way you'll get notified when we go live. And also you will get notified about when we go on our little live streams. Every so often we just pop on if we have a funny story to tell, or we just feel like hanging out for a bit, or if somebody maybe has asked a question, we'll pop on to share the answer, because maybe they let us know that they needed a fast answer. So we invite you to join the party. All right. So wait, hang on. It looks like, hang on. Sorry, wrong window. All right. I'm sorry. I'm gotta bring this up because I'm like mega impressed. Whoops, wrong one. My flow is off tonight. So Adam does ultramarathons. Wow,
Right.
That's like massive. So the race is longer than the traditional 42 kilometer, 26 miles. That must be intense. I am going to have to go and get caught up on your stuff, because that is super interesting stuff.
Yeah.
And
He does all his best thinking out there while he's running around.
I've always heard that about runners, that like that kind of opens their mind and frees everything. So Susan is very impressed, and she's letting us know that she does tries. Yep.
Nice.
So
Well,
here we
hell,
go.
I feel under-exercised right here. I don't know. I got to get moving.
And see, this is why we love our community, because everybody is sharing and supporting each other, and that's what we're all about.
Yes.
So those of you who are
And-
out there lurking, and I do see you, come in, just say hi. Let us know who you are, where you're from. We're quite social around here.
Yeah, we used to exercise. It's not like we never exercised
No.
before. I used to play tennis until the knees gave out.
For me,
So-
it was soccer, and that's why I don't have knees anymore.
There you go. So we're a little
It was fun while it
older than
lasted.
average.
Now, here, so
Yeah.
we'll bring this up for a little light levity here. So what we do now for exercise is we walk our puppies. So that's
There you
Tinker,
go.
which is Mara's dog, and Murphy, who is my doggie. So we do get out. It's not like we're sitting in the chair all the time, although it does feel like that
No,
sometimes.
no. Yes, today it does. Tuesdays are long days.
Yeah. Mondays and Tuesdays are bad for me lately. So, okay, we got to give
So
Amy her chance here. So she used to play volleyball 3 times a week. Wow, that's intense.
I love volleyball. I was on vacation in Mexico recently. We were playing volleyball in the pool, which is a lot easier on the knees.
Oh,
Not so
yes.
much with the water up your nose, but it's fantastic in the pool. We had a great
Although
time.
lately, my favorite pools are the one with the swim up bar, but that's another story.
Well, this pool had that. So
Ah,
it's in
that's a good way to
Mexico,
go.
a swim. Yeah, yeah, wee. But anyway,
All right, so we have run way over, so let's each do one more,
yep.
and then we can let these nice people go.
No, I'm good on my end. If
You're
you've
good?
got
Oh,
one
okay.
more,
Well,
go
then I'll
ahead.
pull 2 more. Let's see. All right, so another thing that I find really frustrating and a bit of a time suck about the job are the job postings that say that they're looking for a BA or a UX person, depending on which side of the fence I'm entering into that day. And then when you actually, and you go through it, like it sounds right. They're talking about, the requirements and requirements gathering and QA and all these kind of things. And then you go in for the job interview and all they want to know is, do you know how to use Jira? Do you know how to do grooming? Do you know how to do stories? And they're not interested in any of the rest of what a real BA does. They really just want somebody to move the cards around in an agile board. And it's not, okay, yeah, I mean, agile might not be my favorite thing in the world, but it's fine. It can work as long as it's not used as an excuse to throw out the rest of the processes.
Yeah.
Let's just quickly, every 2 weeks, get something out there. We won't even care if the users need it. No, that's not a solution. So that I find really frustrating. I don't know how many times you've run into that, Mara, but it goes through cycles for me. Okay,
lot.
so yeah. Lately, I'm getting it
And
a lot.
as a matter of fact, a lot of the jobs that I go to, the first thing I have to do is create documentation because they were operating that way and nobody knows what's going on. They've lost all sense of, keeping everything in a holistic approach. They've completely lost it. So it keeps me in business. I'm constantly going in and redocumenting everything. So it works for me, but
yeah, no, absolutely.
it works so well for them. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, and all of us who do, real requirements, in whether it's agile or waterfall or whatever name they want to put on it, we are that much more valuable. So if you have those skills, please know there is a big need for you out there. And you should never, ever let anybody tell you otherwise, because it is absolutely something that is critical to the success of projects. And if you walk into someplace and when I start to get this vibe, I do ask to speak to another, BA who's working there. They don't always bring them out, which is usually a warning sign too. But if I do, and I'm talking to that person, I hear that they're spending 98% of their day rearranging, Jira cards. That's usually the end of it for me. And that's something to keep in mind too. Like if you were going through this process and you're on site, you're doing the interview, or it's a phone screen, and you just start to get the vibe that this is not for you. There's nothing wrong with gently, politely pulling yourself out of the situation. Go, you know what? Really appreciate the time you gave me. This has been very helpful. After having listened to this, I don't really think we're going to be a good fit for each other, and I don't want to waste any more, of your time here. If this is not something that we're going to be able to move forward with. Every so often, like when I've had to do this, I've had people get really uptight about it. No, you've got to stay. You've got to finish, and I will if that really means the world to them. But I always do try to make the effort of not wasting people's time if I've already decided that this is just not right for me for whatever reason. I don't know. Have you ever been in that situation, Mayor?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I've given them the benefit. I have gone through it only because it's practice for me to go on these job interviews. So I'll stay with them. But I will say at the end of the interview, it doesn't seem like this is a good fit unless I'm missing something here. So if you feel the same way type of thing. But yeah, I usually just do it because, like I said, most of my jobs are through word of mouth, and I don't usually have to go out hitting the bricks, so to speak. So,
right,
and I'm not it's like interviewing. God bless all of you out there who have to go, because it's it's just a bit of a time suck, as we would say. But definitely. Yeah, definitely. Everything's a good experience. But sure. I agree. I agree. A BA, practice your skills. Don't focus on just one skill, because I would hire someone who has a broader scope of capabilities than just Jira or, stories. So
right, exactly. And I mean, this is not really so much about the positive tips. We were focused on the negative one. Guys, just throw one out there, just because why not? Except that it just fell out of my head. Where did it go? What were we just talking about? Oh,
Jira.
Okay, right. Got it. No, so I did want to just bring up one positive comment, one positive tip, and that is if you are, lucky enough to be in a position for a while, and you don't foresee any need in the future to, go back on the job hunt, first of all, thumbs up for you, because those positions are wonderful when you find them. But I do recommend to everybody that they at least twice a year, every 6 months, at least do a phone screen. At least, if you get a phone call, go ahead and, shake the tree a little bit just to see. Even if you're not interested in something necessarily, first of all, it could turn into something phenomenal that you just can't say no to. But also for that reason that Mary just mentioned, just to keep your hand in the game, because interviewing, the whole job process, is a skill, and it is something that you do want to keep sharp. And the longer you go without doing it, the harder it is to get back up to speed. So, yeah, okay, I do, there's a certain amount of, feeling bad because it's a time waste. If you're really lucky, you'll be doing this to somebody who is going to waste your time anyway. But I do recommend that, just because you're happy in your job is not a good reason to not keep updating your resume. I recommend everybody do it at least once a year. I said, like, around your birthday is a good time to remember to do it. Or I recommend twice a year, just in case. But also have that phone call every once in a while, just so you have the ability to be able to do that phone call when you need to. Again, hopefully not anytime soon. So that's out there. So
and definitely keep those. And I was going to say, definitely keep those skill sets up, because when I would be interviewing people for a position, we would give them tests, and we formulate. And Kathleen and I have both done this. We formulated tests in the past to make sure, because people do change their resume in order to fit into a particular position. But that doesn't mean you can get away with just having all the right answers. I know there's a lot of websites out there that say, here's all the top questions you'll be asked as a BA, and here are the ansers. Well, guess what?
Sprinkle these buzzwords in your resume.
I'm going to make you do a workflow. We're going to make you do a workflow, and and how well and how quickly you do it. And we've done this in the past, and honestly, we've given them a very simple scenario, and people could not do workflows. So we do test you.
Yeah. So, I mean, by the time we're not doing it for entertainment, even though it might sound like that. But we don't do that to everybody who comes in the door. We only do that when we get down to that core group of people that we think are contenders. Because that way we can weed out anybody that might have just slipped through, all of our checks, and just did sprinkle in these terms and can't really do it. So that is definitely the kind of thing. And, don't let that throw you when it happens. It does. It's a good sign, because it does mean that you're getting that far along. I have to, so let me just share a couple more of these. People are being so nice with the comments, like, whoops, wrong one. See?
No, but it's
I gotta bring me up and then do this one. There we go. Jason saying everything is good experience, and that is absolutely true, right, Jason? Right. I mean, good or bad, it's still good experience. You're still going to learn from that opportunity if you let yourself, and so that is definitely a good thing. And Amy, I love Amy. Most of my jobs have been word of mouth as well, and to me, like when that happens, that is awesome. Because you go in knowing that it's probably going to be a really good fit for you, because otherwise the word of mouth thing would have kicked in. And it's just, I always love those moments. That's a good time. But I also have to share these because, hey, these people get us. Puppies!
Puppies! Susan.
I love that, Susan.
That's really great.
And Jason is also a big fan of the doggies.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then Susan had a real question, so I had to bring the puppies one up since Susan was asking questions. I was like, puppies, yes. So she says, it might be a little off the subject. Is it possible for a BA to go into business for themselves?
Absolutely.
Good answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, you can... Go ahead, Kathleen.
No, go ahead. You go.
No,
you're rolling.
Oh, you can definitely position yourself as a contractor out there. You can definitely, or if you want to, I don't know which side you're saying. If you wanted to be a BA and open a business of BAs, you can do that as well. We've worked with many people who have done that in the past.
Yep.
But you can absolutely market yourself as a contractor if that's the lifestyle that you want. And Kathleen and I both like contracting jobs. It gives you a certain amount of freedom. But you also have to depend on yourself to get the next job. So, but you can absolutely do it.
Yeah. And the other thing that you can do, if you have like a little, if you have a couple people that, you work really well with, I have seen lots of people go out, and kind of form a little group, conglomerate, whatever they want to call themselves, but they're sort of a solutions group. And so when they go out, they're actually bringing a whole solution. It's not just the company hiring one BA, but they're like, look, we specialize in mobile, we specialize in whatever, and we've got this, little team, and we will come in, and, if you don't have people to do it, or if you don't have enough people to do it, we're more happy to come in and jump in and do this. So there's a couple of different ways that you can, pull this off. The other thing I also recommend, which a lot of people don't think of, but it's totally doable. Getting back to that list of a couple of good headhunters that you've got, you can let them know that you know other BAs. And so if a friend, past coworker reaches out to you and says, hey, I'm looking for a job, if you know anybody who's looking, if you know any good headhunters, let me know. You can help connect those people. Which, technically is not, going into business for yourself, but you are kind of, fostering that whole thing and being seen as just another level of expert out there. Or, like in our case, sometimes we get the old band back together, and so we have a little group of BAs and management and developers and all that. Every so often we all kind of just come back together again, and that's another fun thing to have happen. If you get lucky enough to have a group of people you work with really well and are in an industry like ours where it's more project driven, then that's another good way to do it too. And that's sort of like going into business for yourself, because one or two of us will end up someplace, and as needs arise, you kind of go and say, hey, I know somebody, and hey, I know somebody. And so you're kind of building a team that way too.
We literally try to pull each other in. You get a core group of really good people, developers and designers and BAs, and somebody will land somewhere, and we'll all try to pull each other in because we work so well together. And when you can do that, everybody wins. The company wins, you guys win, because you can just move much faster and get things done because you all know each other, you know how each other works. It's a great place to be if you can find that in the community. So everybody start networking and connecting and finding your peeps, find your tribe. It's great.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that works for remote workers and, people on location too, because you've worked on so many projects over the years that it's just like, you're stepping right back into it, and the flow just kicks in right away because everybody knows whose strengths, whose weaknesses, how to fill in, how to balance everything out. And so, it can be super successful for you and for the people you're working for. So Amy says that she has created the interview test also. So it's not an uncommon thing out there. It's just a little bit farther down the process. And let me just bring that one up. Also, she teaches people. Amy does a lot of mentoring and coaching and teaching. So she teaches people to keep a list of accomplishments or new skills throughout the year because it's easier to forget, and that helps you if you're an employee and you're going through review time. It's also very helpful when you go to refresh your resume. So that is an awesome tip. Thank you so much, Amy. That's a great one. Very important. And then Adam also agrees with us that you can create your own. Come on, there you go. You can go into your business for yourself, either keeping the BA title, or you can kind of go with more of a business consulting kind of a title, even though really at the core of it you're still being a BA. So that's very good. And let's see,
and we're way over time here.
Yeah. So Susan's also, everything adds to your skill set, so that's all good.
That's right.
All right, so we'll let it go with that. I think we covered the core thing.
We had a lot of fun.
We did. I was really hopeful that this was going to have a lot of, comments and feedback. And I get very passionate about it because finding a job is very stressful, and I hate to see people out there, taking advantage of us or whatever. It's like, we all need to stick together, and I think it's really important. And I hope anybody who comes across this, who isn't here tonight, feels free to reach out. But also to make sure that, if you are in a situation where you're looking for a job and you're just feeling overwhelmed, depressed, it all sucks, everybody hates me. No. It's like, to me, this is like, looking for a spouse, looking for a place to live, and looking for a job are like the super most stressful things you're going to go through. And it's just really important to remember that, yes, you're in that moment and it's not great, but it will pass. You will find the job. And hopefully by hearing our stories, it will help you make you feel a little bit better about the whole thing.
That's right.
So,
hang in there.
Adam just has a quick software question. So wants to know what software you're using to host across all the social networks. This is called vMix. It's VMIX. It is Windows only. It is, once you kind of get over the initial hump of learning it, it is all kinds of awesome. I expect Amy to chime in any second and back me up on that. The only thing I can tell you is, so if you're looking to do any kind of live streaming, feel free to reach out, because I can point you in the direction of some people who will teach you how to do this, real easy and fast. But it's only Windows is the important thing. There's not a solution for Mac, and there's technical reasons for that. But yeah, it's all kinds of awesome. I can stream up to 3 different locations at once, and I can make a local recording that I can then also repurpose later. So pretty kind of all kinds of awesome. Feel free to reach out if you want to know more about it. I'm more than happy to talk to you about it. Actually,
And
you'll
she
have a
can
hard time
pull me in.
stopping me from talking about it.
And she can pull me in. I am on a Mac, but because I'm on a Mac, I have no fancy equipment.
Right.
So when
well,
Kathleen's out, we're kind of screwed.
Yeah, you can tell we're not even in the same location. So in addition to me streaming this out to
Right.
3 different locations and doing a local recording, I'm actually bringing Mary in from a remote location.
Right.
And I mean, tell the nice people, right? It's one click. She has a URL she clicks,
Yeah,
and
it's
boom.
just one click, and I'm on a Mac. So.
But that's why you see me looking down, because I'm trying to run the comments and the software and
Yes.
everything we're doing.
She's
so
the wonderful Oz.
I'm not ignoring you.
I'm just
not being rude.
Dorothy looking for my. I'm just Dorothy looking for my house.
I
And,
don't
yeah.
know. I don't know if this actually came up, so let me bring it up again, because I knew Amy would back me up. vMix is the best solution for live streaming. It is. It is all kinds of awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, either Amy or I'd be more than happy to talk you through the process.
There you go.
All right, let me just double check, see if
And-
there's any other questions. I think we're good, but I just want to make sure. By the way, vMix comes with this great little tool that brings the comments together. It's wonderful. Okay, yes, we're good. We're all caught up.
Great.
So, just the quick reminder that if you do have questions, comments, if you think of something later that you want to bring up and ask us, or if you want more information on anything, you can reach us at all the usual locations, including where you're looking at us right now. And feel free. That's what we're here for. That's what we enjoy. Helping other people with this is why we do this. Anything else we need to tell the good folks? You can get on our mailing list, which I didn't bring the right one up. bazone.com/mailing list. We call those our insiders. Those are the first folks to hear about what the show is going to be about and what we're doing and all kinds of stuff. So you can, do it safely. We're not selling it to anybody. We're firm believers in good karma. We just do that so that we have a way to reach out to you. Did I get everything? I think I got it all in, even though it took us an hour.
It took us an hour, but it seemed to fly because you talk so fast. I mean, I'm just exhausted. I have to go take a nap. No, I'm only kidding you. I'm only kidding you. It was
No,
great.
it's
It was a
fine.
great time. It
We
was
had
a
a lot
lot of
to
fun
cover.
tonight. This is a ranting show on this particular topic, so
Yeah.
it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
But thanks for joining us, everyone, and we hope to see you next week, same time, same place. And until then, hang in there, polish up those resumes, and happy job hunting.
Yes, and
All right, everyone.
reach out for support when you need it, because everybody's here for you.
Great.
All right, have
All right,
a good
everyone.
one. Okay, we're out.